After the onset of COVID-19, the survival of any business seemed to rest squarely on that company's ability to pivot. The challenges that surviving companies face require astute attention to culture. An effective way to create a cohesive team in a remote office setting can be an effective virtual wellness program. Corporate wellness in a post-COVID-19 world. Today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
In my 29 years of business, I have faced many challenges, financial mostly. The dot-com bubble of 2000, I'll never forget. It's funny, I remember some of the names of the company that actually folded. The economic effects of September 11th attacks, definitely. I mean, the market crash and everybody's were thoughts, of course, justifiably elsewhere. And I'm sure that everybody remembers the housing crash of 2008 because all of these caused major changes in our businesses. I have to believe, though, like Personal Edge Fitness, no business with its origins in the 1990s and after have ever seen anything like the pandemic known as COVID-19. Now, unlike any typical financial crisis, the economy was roaring along. I mean, I don't mean to get political about this, but it was really roaring along. Unemployment rate was low, and people working. The stock market was doing great. Main Street was good. Wall Street seemed to be good. And then, believe it or not, Wall Street actually bounced back after a figuratively short amount of time, at least for a crisis during this whole pandemic. The effect on Main Street, I believe, was unprecedented, at least in my time. Government forced closings of small businesses, stay-at-home orders, really for most of the population, and an uncertain future of our health for us and our families. That really upset Main Street, among other concepts of it. I don't mean to gloss over any of it. And of course, at the core of all this was the virus. The one aspect of this pandemic that affected everyone, no matter your economic situation, daily schedule, employment status, or otherwise, was distance. Very simply put, we had to stay away from each other. No matter the personal view we may have towards other people, I don't really care to be around people, this kind of thing, whatever. I'm of course using an example of things that I've heard. No person is an island. I mean, we're born with two fears, and one deals with isolation and the lack of companionship. The distancing wreaked havoc on our families, our friends, and definitely our companies. No matter the outcome of the pandemic, the corporate model, I believe, has shifted, and remote will play a much larger role from 2021 and into the future. Now, I'm not letting any kind of cat out of the bag. It's not just because of the pandemic. I mean, this was headed that way. The technology alone was taking us there. And a splintered workforce scattered across home offices and remote access points is an aspect of company culture that, if not here to stay, definitely is ever increasing. And like I said a minute ago, not only because of our health, but just increased technology. Now, a lot of professionals have done some studying on this, but according to Dan Schwabel, he's an expert on the future of work and virtual workplaces, and also the author of Back to Human, How Great Leaders Create Connection in the Age of Isolation. According to him, the future of work will be more remote, digital, healthier, and safer. Mr. Schwabel states that the rise in remote work, combined with the effects of the pandemic and recession, will coincide with people relocating to cheaper, less dense locations. Simply put, workers no longer need to be located where the jobs are. In some ways, this is actually beneficial to the company. Many workers prefer to be home and are happy for the non-existent commute. I mean, some guy talked to me the other day about his commute was basically he was sitting on one side of the couch and he turned to face the other side of the couch because that's where his laptop was. And he quickly realized, oh, that was my commute. But they're happy for the non-existent commute. They're happy for the reduced cost for daycare in some situations. Since they're home, they can actually have their children home. And of course, many people like home. They like the familiar surroundings. It's interesting to me in some of our Zoom programs and also our mind body virtual programs that we're doing with people to see their home offices, because a lot of times they actually work out in their office. They just move the chair out of the way and get to a workout. And we've seen how they've modified a room and turned it into an office. So, but because of this, companies are saving. This is why I said it was really good for some companies. That companies are saving on building leases and office expenses, and they of course appreciate having happier individual employees. And I say individual employees because that does play into what's actually going on with the culture of the company. The happier employee who's allowed to stay at home may seem positive, but this intense forced separation, as it were, has proven very harmful in the long run. Schwabel says social distancing, self-isolation, burnout, reduced hours, furloughs, and job loss are severely impacting workers' mental health. People feel anxious and depressed when they don't have human contact, and that's true. He further states that the increase in mental health issues has caused companies like Starbucks, Volvo, and others to invest more in their employee assistant programs. If you own a business, you know exactly why they're doing this. There's these programs. There's one reason and one reason only, and it's culture. The company culture is the shared values, attributes, characteristics of an organization. You heard me emphasize shared. The challenge presented by the pandemic is a company's ability to share, i.e., commune with each other. It is difficult if you have a team culture to create wins together while remaining remote. It's not impossible, but it does pose more of a challenge. This is why Dan Schwabel says the best way to deal with loneliness is to check in with your coworkers from time to time to ensure they are doing well. Make them feel like you are thinking of them and that you care without any ulterior motive. Virtual meetings are good, but when the employees were on campus, it was much easier to drop by the office, press the flesh, and really convey a feeling of teamwork without making them feel like you were strictly checking a box. Increasing culture in a remote work environment requires the same tactics used by Ernest Shackleton, the failed Antarctic explorer. Now, I don't like to put failed when I talk about Ernest Shackleton, because actually the lessons that he taught, the practices he used during that expedition will probably be studied for the rest of time. And we actually discussed it in our Vistage group. It was an amazing story. I actually read the book afterwards because it was fascinating. And the person that was coming to speak to us about it was talking about leadership. In 1915, if you don't know this story, Ernest Shackleton and his crew had to ditch their bid to be the first to cross the Antarctica when their steam yacht, the Endurance, it's interesting that the boat was named the Endurance, became trapped by ice in the Weddell Sea from February until November of 1915. Now think about that. You've got 10 months there? 10 months? I'm sorry, I was counting on my fingers there. 10 months in the Antarctica. This is the most inhospitable areas in the world. Though his voyage fails, his ability to save his entire 27-man crew stands out as an epic story of leadership, which I said earlier is studied today by many successful CEOs. Now, here's the question. How did he save the crew? How did he save the crew from certain death after almost 10 months, like I said, in one of the most inhospitable locations on Earth? Culture. Shackleton created games, sled dog races, and theatrical productions with the crew to enhance camaraderie, provide worksite entertainment, a sense of winning, and above all, teamwork. Now listen to that. He provided these activities to enhance camaraderie, provide worksite entertainment, provide a sense of winning, and above all, teamwork. Culture. For those who study Adidas, known as the Big I. Why am I, a fitness professional, talking about the work of Ernest Shackleton? Because the tactics that he used to create the culture that allowed his entire crew to survive are, at their core, the same tactics used in a successful wellness program to enhance a company's culture. And, more importantly and timely, I might add, can be done extremely effectively through virtual means. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with wellness programs. You've originally heard of wellness programs. You may even have one at your business. But although wellness programs have shown to positively change employees' health and lifestyle behaviors, which in turn positively impacts their organizations, it is popularly known that employers investing in shifting their culture to one of well-being are able to build and sustain better productivity and performance, even remotely. What most people outside of the service driven facet of the fitness industry. Now, you have nothing against these other businesses, but you have gyms that aren't really service driven. They're membership driven, they're equipment driven, but they're not really service driven. But what most people outside of the service driven facet of the fitness industry do not know is that the most successful fitness programs are driven by a relationship and therefore accountability to another human. Now, I've been a personal trainer for 29 years and have run the top personal training facility in the Southeast for 20 years. In that time, we have enjoyed a less than 20% turnover rate, and an average tenure of our clientele is 8 years. Even though we have the most qualified staff in the Southeast, I can confidently say none of our clients have come to us because of a certain machine or even modality of fitness. The largest thing that we sell is accountability. It is the relationship with our staff that dictates our clients' wellness success, and that's true. And it's true for any personal training program. Now, what's interesting is understanding the challenge and how to remedy it in a remote setting is unique. And it can dictate not only the success of a wellness program, but possibly the culture of the company. Wellness programs allow for many opportunities to bring the company together through camaraderie, teamwork, personal and team wins. There are several different ways of doing that. Group virtual live classes, on-demand programs, weight loss challenges, wellness lectures, team charity, fitness challenges. These are just some of the many ways a remote team can work together to create a successful culture for the company. When done correctly, everyone can participate no matter the level of fitness, and if the individual works at a wellness goal that makes them feel better about themselves, then the entire team and company win. Now, we were talking earlier about individuals being happy because they're at home, but that has a very short shelf life, I guess you'd say. They're still happy that they're at home, but they do miss the camaraderie. And we're already seeing that now. We're going to see that more in the future in remote situations, looking for answers to bring the team together. Well, you couple it with an effective wellness program with different challenges, ways that they're bringing them in and bringing them together. We're seeing this in our clientele. We're seeing this in our personal training clientele, the ones that aren't in the facility and they're still doing virtual. They so look forward to that session. Why? They're spending time with another human. They're interacting, not just in a meeting. They're interacting, they're exercising, we've got endorphin release and what have you, and they're starting to join together. When they see their coworkers, and it's an outside of work situation, but still involved in the corporate setting because it is a corporate wellness program, but they're able to relax, they're able to be themselves, they're able to have the water cooler type conversations, the challenges, the camaraderie, better than challenges. Obviously, say camaraderie in that. We're seeing this a lot in our, especially our live programs, but also in the virtual training, the virtual on-demand training. Why? Because we create situations where they can interact. We create situations where they can challenge each other. We create situations where you can have the jawing back and forth, challenging each other, or encouraging people. Like in our weight loss challenges, if everybody's trying to hit a team goal, then there's a lot of communications going on between them. They actually feel like they're part of a team. Again, believe it or not, this is why gaming, the gaming that is now gone on the internet, has been on the internet for a long time, and you're actually playing against somebody that's happened to be, a continent away. Why it's so popular. Not because just the game is popular, but there's a challenge going on. There's also teams being formed. There's also interaction. And this is many reasons why it's hard to get your kid away from something like that. They're getting an endorphin released from the wins that they're experiencing and also the interaction they're having. Creating the culture of well-being not only can be evidenced by reduced sick days, lower health insurance premiums, and a healthier workforce, they can also help recruiting by increasing loyal employees who are walking billboards for your company's HR department. That's a good wellness program altogether. If you thought that the increase in virtual may be the reduction or death knell, for that matter, of a corporate wellness program, especially if you're doing on-site programs or what have you, it's quite the opposite. In fact, new opportunities are rampant in a virtual setting. I'll give you an example. One of the companies that we're doing virtual classes for the first time, they're able to have actually people that are doing the same job component in one city and state to be able to interact and meet and enjoy some time together of people doing the same type of jobs in another city and state. And we're seeing them actually converse. We're seeing them actually have developing relationships. They're developing a fitness or wellness type of relationship strictly by being involved with these virtual programs. It's actually bringing the company closer together. In general, with wellness programs, most companies are looking for, of course, like anything, and I highly recommend it, of course, is ROI, return on investment. But what we're being contacted now about, of course, is increasing culture. And we understand that. I had a company reach out to me, that's somebody that I know that is very familiar with what we do. And while we were going through the pandemic, we were actually speaking to some companies and offering the virtual classes and on-demand videos for their employees so they could get involved. We actually threw some challenges out where we had some of them interacting, just like Shackelford, able to take their minds off of what was going on because they were creating wins. They got them kind of focused on a happy time together with their coworkers in these different challenges. And one of the CEOs that I deal with that knew I was doing this, and we were actually starting to do this for his company, said that wanted to speak to us because what they were seeing is they were seeing productivity at home equaling productivity in the workspace. And they were actually going to be getting rid of some leases because of not needing office space. But the first thing he spoke to me about, which I was so glad to hear, was, I see where this is going to affect our culture. It's already happening. And we're seeing people that really thrive off of that interaction. That's the first people they saw that they just missed going to work because they missed seeing people, or they missed leaving home and coming back. They could appreciate their home more. But that's why he started to read it. He said, that's going to be a certain population that's going to notice that and feel the effects of that early on, but everybody's going to eventually be affected by it. And that's why they're looking for something to enhance their culture. If this is something that you're faced with, if this is something that you're experiencing, and if you need a little help or guidance in that area, please contact us. We're offering through our Corporate Edge program, we're offering virtual training, virtual programs, and we can pretty well do anything in fitness and sport that's not illegal, immoral, or fattening, even virtually. And if you're looking for a program that, low cost, but you want to make sure that you're offering a wellness program because your competitors are offering a wellness program and you happen to be competing for the same employee pool, well, give us a call. We can help you with that. And the main thing that we're looking for, if you're interested in getting your people in shape, well, it all falls on accountability. And accountability, not just to the company, accountability from the employee to the plan, to the fitness program itself. That's the number one thing we sell. Corporate wellness is here to stay. Virtual corporate wellness is definitely the way of the future, and is yet another way that we can help you reach you and your company's level of wellness. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.